No secret, Providence's schools aren't the highest performing in the state or in the region. What's one thing you see, I know there's not any one thing overall, but one thing you'd like to implement that you think would immediately or close to immediately improve outcomes in Providence schools?
Oh boy, there's so many things, but on the immediate, I would say, we got to get back to residency requirements for the teachers because we need to get people from our community working in our community. Okay, these kids need to be known. They need people that know their problems, what they're going through every day. When we have people that look through their rearview mirror every day, when they leave these schools at a specific time, it's just not helping in the long run.
When I hear residency, I look to our friends that were on stage before in the House and the Senate and say you got to pass the bill to get that done. So how do you think residency can get done in the current climate?
Well, just with collective leadership, because the people can get anything done. See, that's the point. Over the last few administrations in Providence, we've been using scare tactics to scare the people. This is a city of retaliation and payback. I want to bring it back to where if you're a good person, you live here, you pay taxes, you should have a say.
Mayor, stick with school policy for a second. One key issue that you haven't done yet that you think can really move the needle on outcomes in the city of Providence?
So to be fair, there is no one thing that you can do in schools. There's no silver bullet. And there are really 5 issues that we've been focused on. The first one is school autonomy and shifting resources from central administration to the school buildings where they're most needed, closest to the students and most effective. The second, and maybe the one part of education from a curriculum side that gives me the most hope, is an investment in personalized and mastery-based learning. That's why we've been investing in getting to this magic 1-to-1 ratio where every kid in every school at every time has their own computer or tablet so that they can learn at their own pace, whether they're reading at a 10th grade level or at a 5th grade level. They can be challenged to reach to the next level. The third thing is acknowledging that many of our kids, they come to schools and they bring significant challenges. Many deal with trauma such as domestic violence in the home or gang violence in the neighborhoods. Many of our kids, in all truth, don't receive 3 square meals of food a day unless they're in our school system. So addressing kids' social and emotional needs, that's why we piloted our social and emotional learning support at 6 schools. It was incredibly successful. We've expanded that to 15 schools and we have a plan to go to 32 schools, about 80% of our schools by the end of this year. Fourth, we also have to recognize what all of the research tells us. Time on task matters. And I think it's common sense. The more you practice, the better you'll be. And the reality is that our kids spend only 20% of their waking hours inside of a classroom. The other 80%, they're out in the neighborhood, they're outside of the class building. And there's just as much learning for opportunity for learning and growth in that other 80%. Yet we spend hundreds of millions of dollars in the 20%, and we spend peanuts in the other 80%. That's why we've realigned our resources to invest in summer experiential job opportunities, summer camps with a learning component, and summer learning opportunities for thousands of families. And then the fifth, and perhaps the most important of them all, we have to change the culture in our schools where every single adult believes that every single child has the capacity to be great. And until we get to that point, our kids will be stunted and won't have the opportunity to reach their full potential. So those are the 5 core things that we've been focused on.
Dan, I had another 4 points too.
I'm going to give you a second too, but Mr. DeRobio, give me 2 things that you think are the key to really improving the Providence outcomes, and we'll come back to Kobe.
I would like to add to the list that the mayor has presented. And that is that when students come into the system, particularly from out of state or out of country, that they be assimilated into the school and into the classroom as quickly as possible. This idea of establishing newcomer schools and of making them go to these schools for 6 and 8 weeks to determine where they fit into the regular classroom is just taking their issues and just saying to them, this is exactly what I've left, and I don't have any ambition to go any further. And sometimes we lose them within that 6 or 8 week period to really become good students. So I think that the faster, the greater staffing we can have in those facilities, And the faster we can get them into the regular classroom, the better off they can be to assimilate into the regular education program.
Kobe, last thought. Give me 30 seconds on this.
Sure, I think one of the ways to fix it would be outside of the school, actually, with summer learning loss. I know the mayor has some fabulous programs going on this summer, but I've been doing it for about 3 years now with different cohorts throughout the city. School vacation is mainly for the teachers. Our kids, especially in failing schools, we need to be in class. And if we're going to have summer jobs for these kids, I think a lot of it would be very beneficial if half the day they were learning. Also ESL, for sure, ELL, and also the paraprofessionals at the school. I believe that we need to respect them more, train them better, and build up the teacher assistant corps, and that's what will help move us forward.